You know, in the world of physics, there are some things we know happen, but we don't fully get why. Today, we're going to dive into one of those, Auger emission. But we're not going to use the standard playbook. Nope. Instead, we're exploring this really fascinating mechanical theory that gives a physical, nuts and bolts explanation for what's been a quantum puzzle for a long time. Okay, so what in the world is Auger emission? Well, it was first spotted by the physicist Lise Meitner way back in 1922, and it's basically a bizarre chain reaction. You knock one electron out from an atom's inner shell, then an outer electron drops down to fill that hole. But here's the weird part. In that process, another outer electron gets mysteriously booted out into space. And what's so interesting is that even though we've seen this happen a million times, the standard explanation has always been, well, a bit of a shrug. The general consensus is just that the process is not completely understood. And that little admission of mystery, that's exactly where our story begins. Yeah, that mystery really opens the door for a completely different way of looking at it, one that's not based on abstract math, but on the actual physical mechanics of a totally new model of the atom. So to even begin to wrap our heads around this alternative theory, we have to do something radical. We have to take those familiar diagrams of fuzzy electron clouds and orbitals and just, for a moment, set them aside. We need to picture a new, proposed physical structure for the atom. And the difference between these models is pretty stark. On one hand, the standard model gives us these abstract, cloud-like orbitals based on probability. But this proposed mechanical model, it imagines electrons physically pairing up with protons inside a stacked architectural structure. It's a huge shift from thinking about chances to thinking about pure machinery. In this view, the atom is set up kind of like a little machine. You've got a central pole level, which is the stacked axis where charge flows in, and then there's a spinning carousel level right at the equator, and that's where charge flows out. And that powerful outward flow from the carousel, it acts like a protective force field for the atom's core. Okay, let's get to the action and see how this all plays out. The entire Auger process in this model kicks off when something manages to get through that force field and hits the atom's core. So the chain reaction starts with a breach. An intruder, maybe a free electron, comes in at a really steep angle, sneaking past that carousel shield. Then, bam, it smacks an interior electron right out of its spot along the pole. This leaves a hole, and the model has a special name for it, a charge leak. Now this is a really crucial point. This isn't a leak in the way we normally think about it. Charge isn't spilling out. It's the opposite. That new hole lets the ambient charge from the universe rush in, and this creates a dangerous overcharge, throwing the whole atom completely out of whack. An unstable, wobbly atom is a huge problem. I mean, it could just fall apart. But luckily, this model suggests there's a built-in mechanical process that lets the atom fix itself, and it does it almost instantly. And the first step of this fix is just fascinating. That new rush of charge coming in, the leak, it creates this powerful little secondary vortex. And this vortex is so strong, it literally sucks a nearby electron from the atom's south pole down into the interior to plug that hole. But, and this is the key, the fix isn't instant. The timing here is everything. Because while that south pole electron is on its way, moving down to fill the first hole, the atom is left in this incredibly vulnerable state. For just a split second, it has two open doors for charge to pour into. This temporary state of extreme vulnerability, with two open channels letting charge flood in, creates a dramatic overload. And it's this overload that triggers the grand finale of the whole process. Think about it. With the original hole still open and the south pole position now empty too, the atom suddenly has double the normal amount of charge flooding in from the south pole. It's a massive, totally unexpected surge. The entire system is now just overwhelmed. The atom's carousel was built to handle a very specific flow of charge. It just cannot process this sudden doubling of the input. All that extra energy has to go somewhere. So where does it go? It can't be spun out by the carousel. So instead, it becomes what this theory calls through charge, a powerful, focused jet of energy that has nowhere to go but straight up the atom's central axis, from south to north. And here it is, the punchline. That second electron isn't ejected by some mysterious quantum leap. In this model, it's physically and violently blown out from its spot at the North Pole by that internal jet of through charge. It is a direct, mechanical cause and effect event.
And just like that, the sequence is complete. The internal leak gets plugged, which makes the core stable again. The overcharge gets vented out by ejecting that second electron, and the result? The atom is now doubly ionized, and we have a purely mechanical explanation for the whole Auger emission phenomenon. So at the end of the day, this leaves us with two fundamentally different ways of seeing the subatomic world. You've got the standard view, abstract math, probabilities, things we don't fully get, and then you have this mechanical view, a universe of physical structures, charge flows, and straight-up cause and effect.
And that leaves us with a pretty provocative final thought, doesn't it? What kind of universe do we actually live in? Is it all governed by abstract equations, or is it just one grand, intricate machine? Exploring alternative ideas like this is exactly what makes science so endlessly cool.